Hello, my loves. So I am still, for the most part, taking a hiatus from filming. I am still recovering from having a concussion. I was in the ER yesterday and had to have a CAT scan done of my head and my neck, just to make sure that there's no brain bleed, that there's no shifting of the midline or anything like that. There's no swelling or anything. The scans came back clear, but I am dealing with what are called post-concussion syndrome, which can take, I was told, a couple of weeks, 6 weeks, up to a year if, depending on how my own body and brain are going to heal. So I wasn't planning on filming. However, this was a very short message that came through as I was doing my morning journaling. So I got this Tarot de Luz deck, and I have been working with the cards personally. I've been very called to the outdoors lately. But I got this deck and I have been working with it every morning, and I will pull a card and really get in touch with the way that the energy feels, the color schemes, the image on the card, what gets brought forth. And as I pulled today's card and started really breaking it down, I was, sitting out here journaling, and there was this deep emotional energy attached to it. And we are just on the cusp, or we're just past where we had this new moon in Cancer, which also coincided with Neptune going retrograde. Essentially, right now we are dealing with this after effect of the new moon in Cancer, and the energy of this moon was deeply cleansing. It was deeply healing, but it was also deeply emotional. My daughter and I are both Cancer suns, and I have a lot of Cancer placements, and she has quite a few Cancer placements as well. And we both have noticed that our emotions have been heightened as of late. We have been falling to tears a lot more. And it's not always tears that we are aware of what the source of it is. It just feels like this kind of emotional purge from a lot of stuff that we've been holding on to. So if you've been experiencing that, this is definitely a message for you, because the card that came out was the Four of Cups. Now, this Four of Cups in specific with this deck, it actually gives astrological correspondence down on the bottom. So as you can see here, it actually is the moon in Cancer. And it is it's no surprise. There's no coincidences there. This is that whole divine synchronicity, divine messages. And that's why I'm here, because I knew that this was a message that I was meant to share, especially when I started journaling about it. And so I'm going to actually go over what I wrote in the journal with you guys. However, I want you to spend some time just kind of looking at this card, because it was when I was looking at the actual image of the card, these cups down here, but it's this tie here and the ivy and the way that it wraps around, and these two figures. Now, I know that I personally am a parent. I am going through a lot of I don't want to say tumultuous emotions, but I'm working the gamut of the emotional spectrum, because my eldest daughter just moved out into her own apartment. And being a mom at 16 years old, it's almost as though when you have a child as a child, you get in this mindset that my child is never going to become an adult because you weren't an adult when that happened. And so it's almost shocking to the system for that to happen. Now, the reason why I mention this is because the energy that I picked up from this card in particular is a lot of parental energy. Now, and like I said, you guys know that because of what I'm dealing with, that is something that came out for me. But we just worked through graduation season at least in the United States where I am from. And that means that a lot of kids just graduated. That means they're packing up, they're getting ready for college, they're getting ready to embark on that next journey in life, embark on that next step in life. And I can attest to the fact that even though I have younger children, that very first child that does that shifts into that state it really makes you kind of stutter stop and go, okay, well, I'm feeling all these feelings. Are these does it make sense? Am I overanalyzing? I'm one that is so prone to mom guilt. I am so prone to mom guilt. And so I literally have had to call my mom and talk to her and be like, Mom, question for you. When us kids moved out of the house, is this something you experienced? Is this a feeling or an emotion that you had? And then we'll talk it out. And, you know, she does the mom thing where she's like, I love you, get over it. You know, you're doing just fine. This is what you're supposed to do as mom. And it really helps me. But this card has an essence of loss to it in a way that the Four of Cups card usually has a bit of an essence of loss. And if you've been on my channel for long enough, you know that I will say that I always feel like the Four of Cups card is the saddest card in the tarot deck, because it's these 3 cups that you build and you build and you build and you put everything into. You put your time, your energy, your effort, your soul, your heart. You just pour it into building these things, and there is this deep emotional bond and an emotional connection, and all of a sudden you have to let it go. Now this is very similar to that graduation message. You put in so much when it comes to parenting. I don't, as a kid, to be in the situation that I was, it was like I didn't really have a choice. It was, I was going to be a mother. And that's a story for another time. But this is where I was. I was going to be a mother regardless. And you don't think about the magnitude of what the next 18 years of your life are going to be like. Now, this isn't a cautionary tale, and I know that we're all going through everything with the latest stuff out in the US. I don't want to get into it. What I do want to talk about is this feeling that goes with the Four of Cups and a child graduating or a child moving out. And you can actually take this as metaphorical. If you're not in the same kind of situation as me, and I understand that not everybody else is, take it and apply it to whatever it is that fits within your life. What have you poured all of your time and energy and effort into? What have you put love into? And where is it now? Is it shifting away? Is it shifting out of your life? And don't be alarmed. Don't be alarmed if you're feeling these overwhelming emotions about it. Let yourself feel those emotions. There is a deep power within us that comes when we allow our emotions to have their say, and we give them the respect that they give us when we don't. I don't know. It's really hard for me to completely put into words, which is also one of my big things. That's why I've been writing so much, because right now the brain to mouth is not the best. But when you're a parent, you pour all this energy and all this effort and your heart and your soul and your lessons and your pains and your traumas and your wounds, and you teach and you guide and you hope and you pray. And then you have to release the baby bird from the nest. You have to let that baby bird fly. You have to relinquish the reins of the role you were once in order for a new dynamic and a new role to come into your life. Now this, again, because I'm a parent, this is the correlation I can make. It is based off of my own personal understanding, my own personal awareness, my own personal experience. So think about it in terms of whatever it is that is going on in your life, whatever emotions are being pulled out of you right now, whatever you've been feeling for the past, as of right now, 2 days. It's June 30th, but hey, it's my birthday. Anyway, since even a couple of days prior to that, I'd say go back to Sunday the 26th, because that's when that new moon energy really started working into the collective and into the world, and the moon was shifting into its review phases before it shifted into a new moon. So it was helping us review all of the energy of Gemini season before it moved into the new moon in Cancer. So in this essence, we're doing this review. We're doing this emotional review, this emotional cleanse. So if you've been feeling it for, say, the past 4 days, and it's going to continue for a little bit longer, I can already feel it, but it is lessening and getting a lot easier, the awareness is. I do have this message here. So it does, you know, as I break these cards down, I'm actually going to go over my methods with you guys quick. As I break these cards down, what I do is I take note of the different aspects on the card. So I put the moon in Cancer, you know, 2 swans are together with ivory wrapping and winding up from a pretty pink bow tied to 2 strands from the murky depths below. One swan is facing down and the other facing up, but there's an energy of loss and sadness far deeper here than most other derivations of this card in particular. Apparently Spirit wants you guys to look at the clouds. So I'm going to try and shift. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to keep reading and I'm going to let you guys just kind of look at the sky as I read this. And I'm going to keep the card up for you. This card seriously hits in such a painfully deep way. There is an essence of 2 parents who have fought but lost some painful battle. Part of it feels like the fight 2 parents make to stay together, to recall the love which brought them together after the loss of their child. The pain and sadness clung to rather than remembering the depths of love which ties together becomes a stranglehold over one or both. One fights to take flight, to spread wings and soar after the new cup, the new horizon descending from the sky, while the other is clinging to the past, the loss, the law, the old, but also to the love of the other. What more might one lose in life with the expectation of survival? The moon is in Cancer is asking us to consider just how we connect to one another, especially in family, our home, our upbringing and roots, and in our romantic connections. What did we learn about our emotions and love when we were children? How has it shaped us? Can we release the old ways of believing in love and move into the offering of emotional fulfillment from the universe? Now, it was when these questions really started coming through that I realized I'm journaling for the collective. And with that, you know, the other thing that I'm picking up from this is it's the Gemini energy that came in with prior to the new moon, that Gemini energy that was there. Oh, Spirit's like, no, they need to see the sky. Okay, whatever it is that you guys need to see with the sky, we're gonna just go from here. So the other energy that I picked up from this is not about me and parenting and the struggles of that, or even about you and parenting and the struggles, or marriage and the struggles. It's about 2 pieces of the self. And now I'm being drawn to the tree that I have in the background. So there are 2 pieces of this tree. This is the same tree. So, you know, here in town, we've had this issue with trees ever since our city flooded. We've had these massive issues with these trees where they will start dying off, but there's still a part of it that's alive. And that is really hard for us to learn, to decide. Will we cut this tree down? Will we take it down? Knowing, because part of it is dying and it's falling apart and it's falling down, and when the wind blows really hard, there are branches that fall. Will we take this tree down even though there's still life with it? That's such a hard choice to make. It is such a difficult decision to make, and especially when it's something in our life. For instance, a creative project. If you're building a creative project and it looks similar to this tree, you've got pieces of it that are still living, thriving, surviving, and blossoming, and then you have branches of it that just don't seem to get that same bloom, that same blossom. Do you cull away the branches themselves, or do you scrap the whole tree? Do you cull away the branches of the things that you're building and growing that aren't working anymore, to allow for the parts that are still alive to grow, to continue, and to actually be able to plant new seeds from what falls from it, and that those seeds are able to actually take hold and grow because they have a healthy environment to grow in. Sometimes we get these messages that it's time to let go, it's time to move on, it's time to move forward, and we don't realize that what we're being asked to understand is that there are branches of something living that need to be cut away. There are things that are sapping from the growth that we could have, that we have known. You can see it. It's a visual representation, but you can see it somewhere in your life, whatever it is. Now, for me, it was this duration of time in which my daughter was ready to, she was ready to be an adult, and I was not ready to trust her being an adult. And that was my concern, my issue. I was concerned about my daughter, about her being out in the world, navigating the world and learning it. But she was ready. So the branches that started dying around us were the foundational branches of our relationship, the things that we had worked through, our trust, our honesty. Those things started dying away because I was clinging too tightly to being a parent, and she was clinging to a sense of freedom, and neither one of us knew which way to go until I realized that it was genuinely that cup descending from the sky, from the universe, was her moving into this next stage that gave me an allowance to learn and grow and let that 16-year-old self of mine that was thrust into responsibility, thrust into never thinking of herself first. So at 16, conditioned and taking the steps forward, that meant that I didn't learn the normal way for self-love. I didn't learn the normal way to prioritize myself because I had another life that I was always responsible for. And because of that, I had to learn. I had to learn as an adult so that I could teach my children to not follow in my footsteps on that. We can cling to these things, these pieces, to the way that it has been, or the way that we believe it has to be because of how we grew up and how we were raised. And, we all know that mumbo jumbo, like all of that. We can keep clinging to these pieces, but all we're doing is allowing for the further spread of dead branches. Or we can call them away, we can cut them away, we can give them thanks for the lessons that they have taught us, and we can see things blossom and grow and turn into something even more magnificent and steadfast, like an oak tree. And I don't think that's an oak tree, guys. I just don't know what type of tree it is. But the oak tree is that ancient, strong, resilient tree that we work with. Think about things that you cling to, and whether you are coming to them in a state of needing control, of needing to grasp it, grip it, hold tightly to it because of fear, because you're afraid it's going to fall away or it's going to die, or because you know it's already dead and you are afraid of being wrong, about breaking away from it. Whatever it is that applies to your life, whether it's a relationship, whether it's your relationship with yourself, your relationship with spirit, your relationship with your guides, your relationship with this earth, your relationship with your family, your friends, whatever it is, there is something here that's being illuminated from the new moon in Cancer to show us what roots we have allowed to take hold, whether they are whether we have weeds that are strangling the roots of something strong and firm based off of something that we learned when we were kids. I learned to prioritize everyone else over myself. And it wasn't just from being a parent, but that's what I learned. I learned that was my role in this life. I was the fixer child. That's what I learned. And it was creating a stranglehold around the roots of me blossoming, me growing. Not even something in the world, not any one of my projects. This is deep within me. And Cancer sits in the 4th house. It's deep roots for all of us. It is the bottom of the sky. It is that bottom part of the well that we all seek to find when we go on this discovery journey within, or discovery journey into the hidden and the mystic and the occult. I know a lot of people talk about the 12th house and the 8th house with those things, but I think there is a large amount of respect and understanding that needs to go into this bottom spot of the sky, because it's like it's like Persephone's journey. We're now in Persephone's dark space, and we determine how that works. We determine that. So Persephone is a Greek goddess, and as the story goes, it was something about Pluto and making Pluto happy. So Persephone was sent down, and that's why we have winter and summer. And I have it written down somewhere. I just can't remember off the top of my head because my brain. But with that, Persephone would come up. She was supposed to be able to come up, be released. And some mythology says that she was fooled by Pluto into eating pomegranate seeds, because if you eat anything in the underworld, you can't get out. Some people say that she chose to eat it of her own volition, because during her time in the underworld, she fell in love with Pluto or Hades. You choose. I mean, but we're talking about, astrology here. What would you do for love? Would you sacrifice the ability to be with your mother or with your family, with the people that you grew up with the gods on Mount Olympus, with the upper world? Would you sacrifice that to live a life in the underworld, in a place that people abhor, that is designed to keep under lockdown those who have waged war against the powers that be time and time again? It's designed to be their holding pen, to be their daycare. Would you go down there willingly to be the manager of the daycare? Would you make that choice time and again in a state of love? What would you do for love and what wouldn't you do for love? And if you can answer those questions, and you're putting it into terms of loving other people, loving a project, loving a skill, loving a talent, put it into terms of loving yourself. What wouldn't you do to more fully love yourself? To give yourself every ounce of love, honor, support, trust, truth, clarity, peace, rest, gentleness, grace, forgiveness, compassion that you give to everybody else. If you want to know what that 4th cup is for you from the divine, you have to fill your cup up first. And in order to fill your cup up, you have to know how to do it. You have to know what you need. You have to get real with yourself, get quiet with yourself, get still and listen, because your body is talking, your mind is talking, your heart is talking, and they're not talking the same. It's time to learn which voice you listen to within yourself and how to move forward from there. It's gonna feel like you're against the odds, clinging to everything, even just a sense of sanity. But there is this blessing coming down. There is this blessing coming down, and we may not see it. We may not see it right now. If you can't, then let yourself feel what you need to feel, because most often, and I'm hearing I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all the obstacles in my way. Can see clearly now the rain is gone. Okay. Let yourself cry. Think of it like the rain. You can see clearly. Once you have gotten that over, gotten it through, gotten it out, that's when you can see more clearly. Okay, my loves, I don't have anything else. I hope this resonated. If it did, please let me know down in the comment section below. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I did not, this was so impromptu that I had no time to like set up a real camera, get microphones or anything. So I'm going to do my best with editing. But I do apologize for how chaotic this has been. The messages came through pretty strongly, and with the way that my head feels, and I don't know if you guys can see it. See? Fun bruise. The way my head is still feeling is, you know, when downloads come in, it hurts. It actually is causing physical pain. So Spirit and my guides are helping me work through how to get it out easier right now. So I'm moving a lot slower than normal, but this video really helped me feel a lot better with the pressure from the messages. I hope and pray it helped you feel better. Like I said, please let me know in the comments below. If this resonated, you guys know the drill. Please feel free to support my channel, like it, share the video. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos, and you can hit that notification bell so that you do get notified when my next video comes up, because right now my schedule is quite erratic. So I can't even tell you, even if I had something planned, I can't tell you that it's going to go through the way that it's going to go through, because it's like living a permanent state of Mercury retrograde inside my brain right now. So Neptune Retrograde's guidebook is going to be delayed for some time. Neptune does run through the retrograde cycle until December. So I am hoping that that I get it. I can get the messages out there, but I can't overtax myself, because that's how I ended up in the ER a week after having my concussion. So I do want to be very careful, because I want to be able to be here and to share with you guys, and to, you know, to talk, to chat, and to be able to write these guidebooks to get them to everybody. I learned so much while I'm writing them, but I also know that I have gotten great feedback about their insight, their detail. So on that note, shout out to Lexi the Leo. Thank you so much for going through that book for me, and for, you know, giving me that feedback that helped so much. I am so thankful for you. So thank you so much. On that note, I'm going to let you guys go. I want to let you guys know I am sending you all of my love. Thanks for spending some time with me here on my birthday. Happy 35th to me. I told my husband now I get to have a midlife crisis or something. But yeah, this was your message from the universe, shared by me. Thank you again, you guys. I love you guys so much. Mwah. Bye.